Every team and player will eventually play their final game of the season. Will the pressure overwhelm you, overtake you, or have you prepared for what you knew would come? We're at the point where seasons end, careers end, and most importantly, legends are made. Astralis and G2, honestly, I have no words for the both of you. While different, your journeys speak for themselves. Players of XL, will you remain in the box that the fans and your org's history have put you in? Or will you continue breaking through? Vitality, is there a part of you that maybe hopes that you do not make it to spare you from additional shame? Or will one final chance be what makes you whole? Fnatic, will you carry on tradition? Go all the way to face a G2 in the finals? Or will you bring shame to the black and orange? Mad Lions, will your history of performing when your backs are against the wall carry you through? Or will the fairy tale be dispelled? Team Heretics, the burdens that you carry, will you let them keep you down? Or will you prove skeptics, like me, wrong? Will your hardships be an anecdote for the story that ends in success? Or will you let it define you? Will you live eternally? Or will you let your opponents take what is yours from you? I don't have much time to mention the other teams because there's only one thing left to say. Let the elimination rounds begin.
And welcome everyone to week 5 of the LEC 2023 Summer Split live from Berlin, Germany. You heard it from the man himself. This weekend is packed with high-stakes elimination matches. And we're starting with Fnatic kicking off the day with their do-or-die game versus the Mad Lions. I'm Laure, and I'm joined by the whole gang, GB, Yamato, and Broxa. I feel like the imposter here with this whole Nordics
Welcome to
panel
Scandinavia.
today. Yeah, I
You
guess.
had your French right, now we're taking it to the north.
Get ready to learn Danish or Swedish. I don't know which one.
There's two against one,
Both?
but they're just being polite to me. We can do both.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
We'll do both.
Polite for now.
For now, we'll see how this one evolves throughout the day. But as we said, we say goodbye to two teams today as both losers of today and their summer split here. For Fnatic and Team Heretics, it's a bit more tricky because they are fighting to keep not just the split, but the dreams of the season finals alive. And a loss today will additionally lock them out of the season finals, seeing them only in 2024 next year. That's rough, and that's how difficult the new format is, Yamato.
It's definitely rough, but it's also very, very honest. It's very easy to forget, what these teams have been through, which makes the run in this, of course, summer split all the more impressive. But when it comes to the points, when it comes to the truth, their performances in the previous split might come back to haunt them if they don't deliver today.
Oh, for sure. But I also think it's just a testimony to the fact that they come from two very different routes here. Like, even though they had their mostly downs in winter and spring, coming into summer, at least you fought for Fnatic, they were for sure not going to be in this position. Even Team Heretics, or probably someone out there that would believe in them, just going off the pace they had from regular season. And now they still find themselves in a spot where they cannot afford a single loss. Not here, not even if they move to playoffs, they have to win the entire thing.
And what I love about this is that there's so many teams who are fighting, who are on the verge of being knocked out. And then on the other side, we have G2 who have won 11 games in a row and are just stomping everyone. And I'm so curious to find out if someone actually is going to show this weekend that they can potentially take them down.
It's crazy how G2, how consistent G2 has been, honestly, throughout all the year. We'll see if they can continue, because last week, two teams emerged victorious in the group stage as G2 Esports and XL will kick off summer playoffs on Monday in our LG Ultra Gear match of the week.
I think it took a reset for everyone. Once you get in the slump, you kind of forget who you are and who you want to be, and you're not motivated anymore. It helped everyone to get a fresh start, some new faces, new beginnings. I think slowly you could see hope coming back in their eyes.
I'm very surprised with Excel and their performance, honestly. I think they kind of just took a style and now they're just using it to the fullest. But at the same time, it also leaves them vulnerable if they can't adapt. Coming into this year, we've been playing a lot around bot lane, but that doesn't mean we can't play around top mid. I mean, we've already proven that last year. I think we've gotten so much smarter as a team. We're really seeing what it means to be able to carry from any lane, and everyone can step up when it matters. And our opponents have to respect all the different play patterns we can do.
And that will be our first match of this summer playoffs. And the winner will actually advance to summer finals. And it's actually crazy for me to think of this when you consider Excel, for instance, with the back-to-back top 10 into locking top 3 this time.
They're coming into this match as a heavy underdog, but the fact that they're coming into the match in the first place is something to celebrate. Excel with the crazy run after the back-to-back 10th place. I think anything up from here is just a big bonus on the run that they've already had.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy, you know, they're really just trying to get through regular season as fast as they could because they weren't the biggest fan of the patch they were currently playing on. But getting to 13 was so huge for them. Seeing the Rumble, seeing the melee supports come through from Limit as well. This is their spot where they will find the best version of themselves.
And not only this, but also seeing them evolve with the patch because they had like a quite distinct style, I think, during the best of 1 games. And Broxide, it feels to me that they're one of the teams who adapted the most onto the new patch, maybe feeding them the most as well.
Yeah, we saw it last week. Although Amne is an amazing Rumble player,
Yeah.
Limit had a lot of huge engages on Rel. And honestly, 2 champions, I'm expecting G2 to probably ban and pick away from them because they looked so dominant, and this is surely an Excel patch.
I mean, that's the thing. When you look on the other side, G2, 11-game win streak here, clearly the best team we have in the league right now. And I was saying before the trailer that they stayed consistent throughout the year, but they also evolved, and to me, it feels like a complete team right now. They can carry on all top of the map.
I think in the context of G2, I think they could have faced up against anyone in the whole league and they would come up in the same definition as XL. They are the clear favorite to win it all, and they seem to be a team that is built for so much more than just the LEC right now.
It's just the way that they're doing it. You're looking at the stats on your screen right now. This is throughout all of summer, right? We're not just talking groups, we're not just talking regular season. That first turret percentage being at 92.3% is absolutely insane. And it also shows what it means to play against G2.
Yeah.
You have to be at your best from minute 0 in the game. As soon as you spawn on someone's Rift, you're up against the strongest.
And not only that, because every team and player keeps on saying this team is impossible to prep against. You don't know what they're going to do in-game, you don't know what they're going to do in draft. And here I'm wondering, what is the hope for Excel, Broxa, and how do you want to tackle this one?
Well, that's the tricky part, right? And Cap said it so well in the interview too, that they can carry from every position. They've proven it, they've shown it, they have crazy draft strategies. And I think Excel, it's a tricky one, right? Because usually when you're on the team side, you say you're going to stick to your plan, you're going to create an identity, and you're going to keep rolling with that. But at this point, I think G2 is so far ahead of everyone that they can easily abuse them if they don't have something new prepared. Maybe they're gonna, look into some Ivern. Maybe they're gonna spice it up one way or the other. Just try something different. Because if they play standard League of Legends, I don't actually think there's any hope for them.
And we'll see if it goes any different way than what we saw in Euphoria with BB and Abedagger just benching and BB just announcing that they don't win as much, honestly, and Excel doesn't win much in scrims. But that's a story for Monday because we have assembled today a lovely panel with the old guard and GB present here. But I wanted to test the intersections of their LEC knowledge and fill out the immaculate grid. You may have seen it on Reddit, actually, from Rularu. I hope I pronounced this right. And we've prepared one for our analysts to take a crack at. You have the grid here. I'll be the teacher for this one.
Oh, thank you.
So basically, we can go any way, but we have to fill with the corresponding players from both lineups. So here, I guess, you would have.
I mean, you go for whatever you want to go for because I'm actually looking at it and I'm feeling like the new kid as well. So
yeah.
Which one is easy, Yamato?
I think Vitality XL, I think of Nukeduck right away. He was on XL and Vitality.
Nukeduck?
A little brief moment, yeah.
Okay.
Slamming him.
Slamming
him.
I mean, I'm down. If you say so,
We got a ping. We got a nice ping.
Okay, very nice. Okay, but I feel like Fnatic, might be the easiest one. You think of bot laners right now. You think of some of them actually to come in here.
you?
I do, because
a
when I
former
think of
coach.
Fnatic, I'm thinking of Upset, and then I look at Vitality. I'm thinking of the current Upset that's on Vitality, which is day and night from Fnatic. And
Respectable. I was
Vitality
thinking
Upset.
self-made,
Yeah.
but you know, we can go with
Oh
that.
yeah,
Self-made
okay, that
works
makes
as
sense.
well.
Yeah.
And
We
not
got two
playing
more.
either way.
All right.
Okay, self-made or
Which one do you
upset?
want to look
Which
at?
one do you want to look
I
at?
think
Because we
self-made was
also have
pretty
to think
meta.
of the rest of the
Self-made was
Great.
pretty gangster. I like self-made.
let's-
self-made. All right.
Well, I hate you guys too.
We gotta pick.
The guy who's responsible for everything, of course. Okay, Vitality, Rocket. Oh, this one is tricky.
Has to be Vander. I coached them both.
True.
What about Yanan?
Dude, you've got
Yeah,
you've got all these
Yanan.
teams.
Base. Honestly,
Yeah,
Rox is
true.
coming with the base stances.
Which one?
Yanan.
Yanan, Yanan for sure.
That's pretty based.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess it
Hypermaster.
counts. He's a coach. Yeah, it counts. I like it.
Aye.
Didn't he play for them? Am I
Heimer.
wrong?
He played for them. He
Yeah.
could have been in Vitality as well.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Heimer. Yeah. Okay. Yarnan, but that's actually Heimer. It's the same thing.
I'm kind of stuck on XLG2.
XLG2?
Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey. Nice.
Of course, you know,
Mickey.
the relationship where you know
Nice.
they let him go, and then it's like, oh, we kind of
Okay.
want him back.
He wasn't there for too
Fnatic
long.
and
but he
G2.
was
This one
there.
is easy.
That has to be our boy Caps, right?
I wanted to say.
Could be Reckless as well, you know.
Yeah, Reckless as well.
Oh, Reckless as well. Caps is cooler, no?
All right, yeah, I guess.
It's good we don't have Martin
Okay.
today. Okay.
And also still playing. G2 Rocket.
That's easy because
Hans?
back in the
What?
Hans Hammer?
No.
He didn't
What?
play
He didn't play for
I
Rocket,
think.
man.
No?
But they turned into Koi, no? And
mate Yankers.
oh, Jankos. Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
bro. Sorry.
What the?
Whichever way.
What am I?
All
doing?
I
right.
think Hans is pretty based.
Probably.
These ones we can
But I
just
don't
snap,
think
right?
it's been-
I think we
this,
can. Yeah, we
comeback.
can just scrap this unless you guys wanna.
Odoamne on the top, probably.
Oi.
All right.
This is
We have Huli saying in the middle.
God, you guys are going so fast.
Okay.
And the last one is wait. We can only put one though, right? So
The last one is a bit harder.
Oh, we lost Jankos.
it's gonna be overpower for sure.
Overpowered.
It is Jankos. It is Jankos.
It is Jankos?
Yeah. All right.
but
We just FF. We FF.
I think you guys did pretty well
I mean,
on this one, except the Heimer I inted here. But that's you say Yarnan. That's the first champion, I think. But anyway, that's all for us here. Back to the game because last week was hot in Europe with scorching temperatures and the debut of patch 13.13. And lucky for us, I guess he's gone already. Anyway, Scout Goldberg has the scoop of with the hottest destinations to go to this summer on Summoner's Rift.
Cancun.
Over to you, I guess.
And there we have it. We start at the top, in the top lane, where the team proximities have been going absolutely mental lately. It used to be 9.0, but it's now gone all the way up to 11.3. It is absolutely crowded up here. I can barely be around the area. There's too many champions. I don't want to be here. I feel claustrophobic. I'm going to the bot lane. It is so damn wet in this place. Now, this is the bot lane, and this used to be the place of a lot of action, but it has now turned into a very dull and wet D&D section with mages and static sticks. Now, waves are getting cleared all the time. There's barely any room for action because of it. It is wet, it's thunderous, nobody wants to be here, and it has made the area very uninspiring for a lot of junglers. Speaking of the jungle, I think I'm going insane. The trees have voice, and they've started to walk around and talk. I have no idea what's happening. I see saplings everywhere, bushes spawning out of nowhere, cries of Daisy. Quite frankly, I want to go home. And I want to get home. Luckily, I have my trusty horse here. The rail, 100% present so far, 100% pick and ban, 100% win rate. Now that's what I call a championship horse with a bit of spice. Speaking of spice, we're out of here. So back to you, Law.
Okay. That was something. Thank you so much, GB. But we, of course, with the new patch, we saw which teams could adapt and didn't quite adapt to this. And Yamato, we built a grid actually to show you guys what happened last week in the LEC. Because yeah, it feels like some teams missed the mark here when it comes to the patch. Or what is your read on this?
I think definitely like the standouts of the teams that we already mentioned, and also the two teams that are in the best of 5. They qualified already. Having a good patch read is so important. We talked about the Rumble. Not a lot of teams have played it. We've seen a lot of bans. Also the Rel, the Ivan from Yike was also gorgeous. I think just G2 and XL are the ones that came in very, very punchy from the get-go in terms of what to play, actually.
And funnily enough, the two teams that are playing right now, Fnatic and Mad Lions, are not looking too hot over there. A lot of champions missing, Fnatic in particular, banned Rel and Ivan on both sides last week, which is not a good sign at all.
But I'm just wondering, do you think it's teams hiding picks maybe, or like not getting ready soon enough? Because when I look at some of the champions, the likes of Rumble, Ivern, they're so specific in the gameplay that it requires. Did players just not fit with this patch, or are they just keeping strats for today, hopefully?
I feel like that's the key thing, exactly. Because when you pick a champion, it's not only about a single player being able to play that champion, it's all about how you can piece together a composition. If I think of, for example, Fnatic, we haven't seen him, Humanoid play Jason in a long time, we haven't seen him play Tristana, and those are the type of champions that maybe unlock a Rumble, unlock an Ivan. And I think that's where we need to look. When you find those missing pieces that make those champions so strong, that is what is going to elevate and probably create a situation where the champions get picked.
And I think that's one of the things that makes Yike's Ivan so impressive. Because, you know, he's not really a player that I would consider an Ivan-type player. He's usually a carry. But him being able to play Rel, play Ivan, and, you know, also take on that responsibility, that different type of role, really unlocks G2. And now we're going to have to see it from some of the teams playing today.
But let's talk a bit about Yike, actually, because we saw the Ivern on the side of Jankos, not quite successful, but Yike, I feel, with what we said about G2 being able to carry from every side of the map, this is the kind of champion that we don't think would fit Yike, but does, actually.
I think exactly what Brox has said. I think it was a surprise. Yike is a very, very strong mechanical player, and he shows it when he can. And I think the key thing about Ivan, you know, I know it might feel flimsy because he walks around like he, you know, has so much money in his pants. You know, he's walking around like Conor McGregor in his prime. But this champion is actually difficult to play. You need to maneuver the Daisy really, really well. And Yike showed big time that he knows how to play it. And I think it speaks a massive testament for G2 being able to play in different styles and variations and actually add champions to that pool that makes sense across the board.
And the reason they can innovate so much, we'll see if these teams actually who didn't quite figure out the patch can do it this week, as tonight it is do or die for Fnatic. And their 2023 is on the line here. So let's check in with how they prepped into today's weekend with Trouble and the coach Nightshare.
Thank you very much, Laure. I'm sitting here with Nightshare. Thank you very much for joining me. There is one question I think that's been asked a lot, and it's what sold you in the current roster of Fnatic? Because changing a bot lane in a bot-centric meta is a huge step.
You mean what sold me to change? Or?
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of natural shift where we had trouble with bot lane, and we were exploring different options. And it somehow came together. You know, we were approached by Koi if we want to do a trade. Train before Hank, and then we kind of decided it could be good if we're actually taking Korean in because he had practiced with Koreans before, and it did really do wonders, you know.
Yeah, and talking about doing wonders in the bot lane, I feel like that change in the bot lane has helped tremendously your top side of the map as well. Razork, Oscar in. Was there any fundamental change or sort of practice that went through and that top lane shift happened?
I mean, I think everyone knows, like, who's watching us, that Oscar kind of excels in isolated matchups, 1v1s. So when you have this kind of a spear on both sides, then you can really play aggressive around it perma. Then there is not really room for enemy jungle to go top or your bot lane gets doved. So that helped Oscar a lot. But on, like, secondly, it helped Ivan the most because whenever, you know, he's confident in his teammates, then he's not taking high-risk plays, and he's more, you know, disciplined, and therefore he's not doing mistakes. So because of that, we could see Ivan stepping up big time.
Well, that's great to see. Now, I gotta bring the bad news in the interview. Only once. Last week was not the greatest. You guys chose SK 0-2. What do you think, in your opinion, went wrong?
I think SK was really well prepared against us. It almost felt like if someone would leak scrims. but they did just understand the meta insanely well, and we were kind of lost ever since the patch change, and nothing was really working for us. So we were kind of hoping to see what will work on the stage and how that shapes us into the next week. And at least, even though we lost 2-0, we kind of realized what will work and what not, and what direction we need to go with. And kind of we did that this week, and it was way better.
Well, talking about leaked scrims, your AD carry, Noah, went on Twitter and said that you guys have won a lot in scrims this week. Are you excited coming into this weekend then with this form and the players obviously happy for winning?
I'm really excited. I can just say that we didn't scrim like the top teams, so it's a bit different. And mainly, when we were struggling a lot for the 2 weeks of preparation for groups, we learned a lot of bad habits, and we kind of had to clean it up a bit. And I wouldn't say like we're fully back yet, but we're on the good track, and I feel like we fixed a lot of the bad habits. Some still are there, but we'll see today.
Well, we'll see indeed, because Matt is on a 0-7 loss streak currently. So this is your chance to pick up a best of
By the way,
series.
Trouble, I think like they lost ever since we beat them, no? They were like 4-0, and then we beat them, and then ever since they lost.
Well, that's the greatest end to the interview.
Continue.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that night share. Over to you, Laura.
Amazing answer here. So Fnatic is actually responsible of the Mad Lions losing streak. So do you think they can wrap it up today and actually overcome Mad once again?
I mean, this one is so hard to call just because obviously both teams came in with some practice, but what we actually saw didn't give us too much. And on one hand, I would definitely give it to Fnatic and say that they have the highest maybe potential, despite only having seen so little. But maybe not potential is the right word, but the more recent performance I've seen this split. But then again, Mad Lions was in this position last time, completely flipped all logic, and then just took it all the way to finals.
And Fnatic was also in this situation last time. And if they lose today, I think it's important to remind everyone that we won't see them until next year. Their season is over, done. We'll see them in 2024. So how does Fnatic keep on ending up in situations like this, Broxa?
Well, that's
Spring
a
was
good
the same
question, to
thing.
be honest. Like, just the fact that they might be out after today is so crazy to think about. Because, when I was a player for Fnatic, anytime we wouldn't win, like, we were devastated. It was a disappointment. Sadly, I was part of not winning a couple of splits.
Oh, no.
We don't talk about that. But no, seriously, like, I cannot believe that after today they might be out already. And we're not even in August. Like, what's going on? The team has had a lot of issues. They've been trying to find solutions along the way with roster swaps, coach swaps, and whatnot. And I think the problem is they never really found a solid fundamental, a ground to stand on. And with all the changes, every time you change this one person, everything changes dramatically. So I'm hoping that this is going to show today, like, that they've actually had this time to grow. But I'm a little skeptical after last week.
Yeah, and just smallly, like, what's even crazier is the fact that even if they don't win today, they actually did not get further than they did despite those roster changes.
No.
But over on the other side as well, SK looked lost, like completely lost in the regular season, and has finally started to pick up the pace as well. And I don't know what happened last time they played against them, but it just felt like that Fnatic was just not able to actually deliver, not individually and not as a team. It felt like specifically that Oscarinin was falling apart, they couldn't play the early game through Razork, and they were just slow.
Yeah, it's crazy how one patch can change everything, honestly.
I think for me, speaking of the patch, it's a huge problem for Fnatic that in the early game, they still rely fully on Razork. It's one of the things they said they were going to change coming into this split. Everyone was going to be more proactive, helping out with shot calling and whatnot. But it still shows so clearly in the games if Razork is not a superhero, nothing's going to happen and they're going to slowly lose. And with Ivan being so good, that's a problem because you cannot make these plays on Ivan. Not in the same way at the very least.
And I'm glad that you mentioned Ivan, and I want to fall back onto the discussion we had about which team had the best meta read coming into last week, because if you look at the drafts from Fnatic against SK especially, with the Zeri still being here, paired with Braum, but the draft overall doesn't make much sense on this patch.
No, they definitely didn't connect on the Rift, but they didn't do so off either. And I think you just look at that draft in general, that's a lot of things you can pick out. I don't even know where to start. There's this series as well on 4. There's the fact that you third pick the Jax, knowing you could have actually had counter pick on red side and just pick an AD carry beforehand. There's so many other options available. I don't know, even the jungle matchup was all right.
Yeah, I can't believe they actually won to it probably over Maokai. Maokai is considered monster strong at the moment, especially with Ivan banned. And to me, like, looking at this, it's just incredible that a professional team sat in hours and hours of draft prep and came to this result. That is really disappointing.
We'll see if they can make it better this week, as it is again do or die for them. And on the side of Mad Lions, though, as we said, 7-game loss streak. What is going wrong with them?
So the thing is, you're looking at a team here with 5 insanely gifted individuals. I want to call this out because, like, I've seen flame for Mad Lions, and I think they deserve some, but not for the individuals. The way that you need to flame Mad Lions is for some of the team play that's coming through, because these 5 gifted individuals do not know how to connect on the screen. They're team fighting and they're planning before the team fight breaks out in terms of how they actually want to play it out. Has been quite bad, frankly.
But it's funny you say that, because I think Fnatic has been even worse in that regard. Meaning we're gonna have the battle of the two not so great team fighters today. And both of them had a lot of moments where things didn't work out whatsoever, lack of team play and whatnot. But for the most part, Mad Lions actually tried to get set up, they tried to gain control, and then they were just not connected when the fight started. Whereas Fnatic would usually just skip the setup phase, no vision, no nothing, just run right in there, start a fight randomly, and then everything fell apart.
And that's the thing, usually Mad Lions come together when they fight, and I'm glad that we mentioned this guy because they spend the whole year setting up Chasey, and when it comes to a top lane meta that actually is able to enable him, Yoya is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, so if you follow the cringe segment I just did, on average, the top proximity in terms of team members and jungle proximity used to be lower when in the regular season. When we came to groups, everyone started playing around top lane more often because it was hard to play around bot lane when Static Shiv and Sig started coming about. Mad Lions was one of the only teams that decided to say, we're going to play less around top lane and leave Chasey out to dry, which is a shame because, as you say, when Mad Lions was really ahead, they were playing through Chasey. They were finding the success when he was on a carry and facilitating it.
And again, missing out the mark a bit when I look at the draft here, because for Excel to end up with Rel and Rumble on red side, for me, this should never happen, Roxa.
Yeah, especially knowing what players are on Excel, right? And once again, we're going to need to see some better drafting, some better preparation coming in. So it's worth noting that they did get Kai'Sa, they did get LeBlanc, so it wasn't, like they gave it away for nothing. But you need to know your opponents better. You need to be in their heads and, just know what has to be denied from them. And I'm sure they regret those bans in that series.
Yeah, a lot of things can change within 1 week of training, and this entire year on the line, teams are fighting for the final spots in the summer playoffs and in season finals as well. It is time to find out who will rise and who will end their year this weekend.
This defeat, losing to XL, I didn't think it was possible because we were just a better team, right? Today it showed like we're not, so we kind of have to be better than everyone else because right now I feel like we're our worst enemies and we just have to overcome that. Yeah.
SK Gaming stun Europe and silence Fnatic.
The way we were winning games before was different than now on the patch, and then also I think we just played bad individually. We didn't play like we did in a regular season.
Oduwambe is looking and finding Extra-Kick. The Baron's about to fall in favor of XL.
I know that we can actually for sure make top 2 this season easily, so I'm excited but still frustrating.
Usually in the past how it happened is that when we had our backs against the wall we played better. I hope this time it's gonna be the same.
They're on a huge losing streak, so maybe their mental will be not that great. I don't know if they can recover from that.
Instant engage, instant knock-up, 1-2 punch here. Limit trying to make his way out, but the feathers fly.
Monskrunin's in trouble. The stun locks it down, and Fnatic first blood.
I think it's gonna be very interesting, but at the end we'll win.
1, 2, 3 members down. SK dunk on Fnatic.
I expect them to play pretty good, but honestly I would say that we are just better.
BDS locking season finals.
We were not that comfortable. We didn't adapt good to the drafts.
LeBron holding on to ultimate, going right back into the fight. What a turn from LeBron.
We still have 1 more week to prepare.
G2 played better, they position better, play with their cooldowns better. I think we're just good individuals. It's really not a team right now, that's the biggest problem. I don't know why we're not a team, but we're not a team.
Where is the cannon? Coming over the wall! The slicing Maelstrom has already picked up a kill onto Hansama. Somehow, G2 turned it around.
Everyone that we can play will be easier.
The matchup against Koi should be easier. They are the weakest team in our group. I don't think they have a leader and they seem to be struggling.
You can always wait for Evie to just die out of nowhere. It's his main move. I don't know why, he just does it.
That's out to safety. He can't make it out of this one. But he has it. No way, Evie. Oh my goodness.
It's been great, just grinding from the bottom up again, back from the start, back from the beginning.
Peach, the potential here for the play. Tarzi, fly back, City flash in. The triple, baby!
We will definitely abuse them if they don't adapt some of their strategy. And I'm interested to see if they will do that or if they will just hope that it works out against us as well.
Larson, don't do it. Larson, don't do it.
It's a do or die for us, and we want to win against anyone.
That would be such a shame to go home early.